Hey everybody, Bill in Thailand. Welcome back. So this video picks up, actually just a few hours after the last segment in the previous video. I've come in and on the first two sections, I've put the track back. And this is still sectional track. I wanted to make sure that everything fit well with no binding, no kinks. So I'm happy with how everything is laid out. You can see I've still got like a straight piece just kind of sitting on top there. And over here, I'm not wanting to necessarily cut those, as I'm going to be using the sectional track more as a marker where I will put dots in the middle. And a lot of this will be replaced by flex track here in the fairly near future now. So I've got things over here set up until the final table that I was working on in the last video. I'm going to let that sit for a few more hours before I take the weight off. In fact, I'll probably let that sit for the rest of the evening here. But I've got the track laid out. Everything is nice and square to the next table, which is what I want. Except for that, because I got the bottle in the way, keeping that until everything cures, since that's a major transition at elevation. You can see the bridge, doesn't line up exactly. It kind of teeters. This is just temporary support. Once I get the cork in, I'll see where my final elevation needs to be for the bridge, and then I can trim that temporary piece to size and then reconnect everything for the bridge. I will do in-place casting and carving of abutments. Did that on the O-scale layout a couple of years ago, and that worked really well and was really easy to do. Thick plaster, build that up, mark your lines, carve it, make it look like block, easy to do in place. So I will do some more here after a while. When that's dry tomorrow, take that off, put the track back. I'm not going to worry about the yard at this point. I will do that later. But once I get all of the track back on, and I'm satisfied that everything looks good, then I'm going to come back in and I'll start to mark, and then I will start to cut cork to make my road bed. So that will probably be about the bulk of this particular video. So anyway, hang in there with me, and we'll be moving on to some different projects here soon. Well, I've spent a few minutes out here this evening, and very dark outside. But I've got all of the track in place. A few little tweaks yet to do here and there. But this should be pretty much how the track is going to lay out. Straighten a few sections, do a little bit, move a few pieces around. I lowered that center temporary pier. I think once I get the cork in, that should make that just about the perfect height. Next thing I will do is, again, tweak things just a little so that it is all lining up very well. And again, I don't really care if I'm not centered in these. That's why I cut them on the big side, so that I've got a little bit of cush. And I can kind of push it over a little bit yet, because I still have to measure between track centers there so that I get the same as what I've got over there. So I've got nice straight tracks that run through the yard. So just a little bit more fudging, fidgeting, pushing, bumping, tweaking, and then I can start marking the centers of these. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to be cutting cork. It is a beautiful day in Thailand. Cool by comparison, upper 80s. Nice breeze blowing, the palm trees swaying in the wind, few clouds and low humidity. Nice day to be working on the portable layout. So I've been out here for a while, and I have gone in on all of the track, except in the yard, added in center line dots. I did a pencil and then I came back in with a marker so that I could get everything marked out where the center line will be for my cork roadbed. I took it for all areas of the layout. You can kind of see I've got everything set. So those will be center point for the cork roadbed that I'll be cutting here. Actually, maybe even starting today on it. Only area that I haven't done is the yard. And as I've been saying, I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do here. And I did have a thought. Yesterday evening, I was looking at kits that I had to try to start figuring out what I wanted and where I wanted on this. And I came across a small end scale, like rural station, a little building, and then 2 little passenger platforms. And it's a kit that I think all the pieces are there. And if not, I can scratch build different parts if something's missing. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to add it between these lines. It means that I will take like this and curve it in a little and then back so that I've got a little bit more of a gap. And that's probably an exaggeration because I think the platforms are about this wide, about to here. So just move it over a smidge so that I can have a little station right in here. Train traffic can go behind it, train traffic can go in front of it, and it should add some interest because these tracks will not be parallel completely through. There'll be a little bit of a curve coming in, getting some visual interest. So I'm going to play with that idea. I'll bring the bases over when I actually get started on doing stuff on this, but that's going to come a little bit later. I want to get pretty much everything else done, cork on, probably even track in place before I come back to this to really do much. For sure, I will glue this down for one, and I can get this line put in because I know that's pretty much where I want it. Again, I'll play with this a little bit, see if it makes sense to add in a small station. And if it does, then I will just kind of modify a little bit and still have this coming off in for industries and some little switching for when I'm playing with it. So we'll see how that works out. But I am going to go in and start looking at cork and coming up with a jig so that I can manually mass produce my cork roadbed for this layout. So that'll be coming up on the next segment here. So a beautiful and cool evening here in Thailand. I am in the main model railroad room and I am starting to cut my cork roadbed. So you can see the sheet laid out on the floor. That's big. And then I've got another one over there. I probably got way too much. But anyway, so I'm cutting these into strips that are 25 millimeters wide. That is an inch, just a hair over, I think. It's a little bit narrower than what you would get stateside for cork, commercial cork. And the reason that I opted for that length is one of my straight edges that I bought a while back has these ridges on the bottom of it, excuse my toes, and if I butt this side of the cork up against this one and I cut here, perfect 25 millimeter cut. If I go this side, it's less, so this side gets me very close to a 28 millimeter, which is about that 1 1/8 that would be sort of American standard. I'm not going to really worry about that too much because I can fudge anything that doesn't look right with ballast when I get to that point. So what I'm going to do with these, tomorrow I'll make a jig so that half point or halfway is going to be essentially 12.5 millimeters, midpoint. The roadbed is 3 millimeters thick. So if I want to do a 45 and get even pieces, I need to do basically 12.5 millimeters plus 1.5 millimeters. So that'd be 13, so 14 millimeters come across here, a long way, and then cut it at a 45-degree angle so that I hit the midpoint at roughly 1.5 millimeters down, and I get an equal distance on each side. I'm sure I'm going to muck up a couple of these as I do practice cuts once I get a jig built, but that's something that I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to cut a few more strips this evening and then enjoy the crystal clear evening here. So more to come. I have a pretty good pile out of that one sheet of cork. I'm not going to touch the other sheet. I'm pretty sure this should get me done with this table. I'll use a lot of it when I get into the yard, but actually in the yard, I might just identify what it's going to be and just take a big piece out of this. And then I can carve out sections up to make it look low, little ditches and different things. So, but I know this will get me completely around on the mainline tracks. So tomorrow I'll figure out how I'm going to cut them in half and go from there. So back out in the train room on a very comfortable Thai morning. Temperatures are like upper 70s. Perfect weather right now. And I've experimented just a little bit, and I've got it figured out how I can cut my strips into nice strips with a beveled edge. Kind of hard to see, but I do have not quite a 45, but probably about a 30-degree angle on each side. And it's cut pretty much down the center, and then of course flipped so that I get my angled edges out. What I found is that if I use what I was using as a cutting guide and I put my cork in and keep it tight to the center, I had another piece that I had cut that used, again, as a rip guide for smaller pieces of work. And if I put that in and I have it connect to the first ridge that's underneath, just have it rest on this, orient it the same way, put it in, make sure my cork, actually it's the other way, it was right the first time, put my cork in, and it does work better with two hands. I have it in, I have my cork justified to here, I run my knife at a nice angle, smooth down. It doesn't cut all the way through, but just like cork that you can buy on the market, take it and you bend it and then you peel it. So I am going to cut all of that. Not right now. Do a few pieces, go do something else, do a little bit more, come back so that I don't get bored with it and then I start to rush it. This was a off piece, it wasn't the right size, it was a leftover scrap, so I used it as my test piece. But this is my second cut and quite happy with the results. So this is what I'm going to go after. And I'll probably get this done today, I'm sure. Because I'm actually ready, I can start putting it on if I got it cut. So I'm going to be cutting for a while and see what kind of a pile of cork I end up with here. Here is one pile of my cut cork roadbed. So I ended up getting 49 pieces out of it. And I can use a little bit from a mistake and another piece of a mistake that I cut that I can actually cut down to size. So really I've gotten probably a good 50 pieces of cork roadbed for end scale out of one sheet of cork that I got from Shopee here in Thailand. The stuff rips apart really well. I'm quite happy with it. I'll show you the other material that I've got, get a sense of the pile. Then I am going to get started of putting it down here, but that's going to be on the next video. So here is the rest of the roughly 50 pieces of cork road bed. I am going to get started down there and work my way around. Each one of these strips is approximately 43 inches long, and that translates to 110 centimeters. So I've got quite a bit here. I'm not sure how far it'll get me, but I'm gonna have some fun finding out. But that will be on the next video. So with that, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.